Welcome to NothingisOB South Texas Golf Podcast, episode number 94. I have on a great guest tonight. He is the head women's coach at University of Texas at San Antonio, UTSA, Summer Batiste. Before we get right into that, a word from my sponsor. Our presenting sponsor is FOREBROS Golf League. Make sure you check out the FOREBROS Tour. We're on Facebook, Instagram. Also, make sure you check out the website. It will be included in the show notes. FOREBROS Golf League, never golf alone again. All right? If you don't have a home, we have a home for you. Also, I wanted to say a special shout out to one of my sponsors, OAKBURY Golf Apparel. All right? Make sure you check out my guy, Mark Villagomez. He's based out of Houston, Texas. Got some great items right now. He's got a great sponsorship. If you purchase the Madison color wind shirt that is on oakburygolf.com, you will get an entry into to get a free pair, win a free pair of Jordan Cherry Red golf shoes. They're awesome. They're beautiful. Make sure you check them out. Hit up my boy, Mark Villagomez for OAKBURY Golf. All right. Like I said, today I have on, it's a second time guest to talk about the immense success that she's had at University of Texas at San Antonio. I'm a proud runner right there. I got Rowdy. Rowdy is back here somewhere. I don't know. There we go, Rowdy. There we go. Rowdy's right there behind me. All right. Welcome to the show, Summer. Thanks so much for being on.
Andy, thanks for having me. Always enjoy coming on.
Well, hey, all right, let's get right into it. Coach, the last time we talked, I think we spoke, y'all had your portable offices. I think it was in the summer of 2019. Yeah. It's been a minute, all right? You've had a lot of ups, you've had a lot of downs, but ultimately, I think the program is in a great spot. Why don't you kind of catch us up since then? A lot has happened.
Yeah, 2019. That's before you know what happened. So since then, we've fortunately been trending up. Like you said, you saw some portable offices. Now we have a beautiful building on campus that house all of athletics. We have buildings at TPC now. We've gone to regionals the last 2 times. We've almost got conference by a shot. We've had Cameron Carrion make it to nationals. We've graduated 4 seniors who were gave a lot to this program's success. And now we have a bunch of freshmen that are looking to continue that success. And it's really fun to see how hungry they are. So, we're spinning the wheel still, trying to chase excellence. It's been a lot of fun.
Now I know when we first spoke, Lisa Campos was just getting into the job, and I know you had spoke about, I guess, her vision and her, her where she wanted to lead the program. Now it seems like, and like we just said right now, like the program is really trending upward. Are you really happy with the job she's done and really kind of empowering y'all as coaches to really build the program in the way y'all see it and her vision as well?
Yeah, I think she's done a phenomenal job. She started my first year. She didn't hire me, but she had a lot on her plate. She had to come into UTSA, build facilities, put UTSA in a position to be competitive. She's done that. As we talk about the race building, she's also put us in a spot to go to the next step, which is the American Conference, and that will be next year. She's made great hires. She hired Jeff Traylor. She's hired Derek Pittman, who just won conference championships. She just hired women's basketball coach Karen, so we're looking forward to that. And I know she's hungry. They're still talking about what other facilities can we revamp, what can we rebuild. They're still pushing and chasing.
No, I agree. I guess the one thing as a coach, you always kind of tell your kids, you shoot for the stars, you'll land in the clouds, right? And so it's been beautiful. It's been beautiful to see the race facility, to see all that. And how big has that been? I guess that transition, because it seems like y'all went from kind of like 0 to 100 like real quick, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the biggest, change that you'll really see is just the appreciation and just the sense of pride watching your athletes work out in the weight room or come to academics, stop by the office. We didn't always have that. It was hard to get places because we were spread out around campus. Our spaces were small. So to step in something very big, and now we're also connecting with other sports. Our athletes are seeing other athletes. That's by far the coolest thing is to walk into the race, headed to the office, and you see, the conference women's soccer champions, and you congratulate them, and then you go see football, and you see softball, and all these other sports, and you just kind of buy in a little bit to what they're doing and feed off of each other, and it's really fun to step into a building where everybody is really rooting for you.
And that was different, especially your time there at UTSA, right? To where the program was kind of in its upstart. It was the women's golf program was in its infancy stages, and I remember speaking with you. Yeah, I mean, like y'all kind of just hung out with the golf team, and like the tennis. And now it seems like that's a great point. How everyone's kind of like intertwining, and you're really building that momentum as not just an individual program, but like the whole total the school, the camaraderie, and getting it from what is a flagship university to like the top tier university.
Yeah. That's probably the biggest thing Lisa has done is really make this department come together. So it's just been really fun to witness all of the change as a student athlete, as a coach, and then it just makes you excited for what's next. And you know that there's going to be growth. Because you always envisioned being in this spot. You didn't know how long it would take. So to be here, now it's just like, man, what else can we do? You just get hungrier and hungrier.
And that's great because I know you have your ties to your coach was the lady that started the women's UTSA program, and I recently had her mother on the show a couple weeks ago. I had
Yeah.
Mary Carricker on, the mother of San Antonio golf, right? For
Mm-hmm.
say on, and I know she was mentioning when we were speaking about you and how proud she was of you and how proud of where this program is and how proud she is of like you stated, a friend of the podcast, Cameron Gadion, on with the immense success that you're a part of. You've been at the infancy stage, and now you're kind of like you're at the top. And you spoke about the facilities you have at TPC and that great relationship. I'm gonna pull up a picture right here, and if you would kind of speak on just of the facilities that were built for y'all out there.
Yeah. Yeah, those are our hitting bays. You'll see a roadrunner on one side, TPC's logo on the next. Greg Hiller's in that bay across from us. And that's just a bay. I mean, we have year round, our biggest recruiting pitch really is the year round facilities. You can play golf in December, sometimes without a jacket in January. So to have a bay, it seems kind of silly, but it's just a really good space. Maybe if you want to put TrackMan in there, work on some, just some items that you necessarily want just time to yourself. So that's one of them. The others we have, and you can kind of see it if you're, yeah, just in the far right corner, it's the big Marriott back there. Well, that's also housed the pro shop, and we have a team room underneath the pro shop. It's got couches, it's got study room, it's got dry kitchen. We're getting a shuffleboard, we're getting the works, gaming systems, everything. So the student athletes have a space that if they want to take a break or if they want to eat lunch, they could really utilize TPC all day long, especially if they have all online classes. So and that with the member amenities and the membership support, I mean, it's a it's a home run. You can't find a spot like that in college golf.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I mean, you're talking about the amenities, you're talking about shuffleboard, and you're right. And I'm sure, it was a lot different when you were coming up and you were being recruited as, as a Division I athlete, right? Especially at a new program, right? At an upstart university. And so, I'm sure you have to do those things, and you have to kind of put those things on display, and it's great. You have a PGA top level facility and course that is your home course, and I know that y'all are going to host TPC, and is going to help y'all host an NCAA regional, right, in 2023.
Yeah, so this May we're hosting the regionals. We put a bid in, and it's very competitive out there. We're going against, schools that have hosted for a long time, have the system down, and NCAA likes a smooth system, but they really just couldn't pass up this golf course. It's going to be played after the VTO, so it's going to be in impeccable shape.
Yeah.
The teams are going to stay at JW Marriott, so, I mean, it's just like the pros. You just walk over to the golf course. So they just can't pass that up. And when we make it to regionals, we get to play our host site. So there's a competitive advantage there playing your home course. And that's something that we're trying to do, is giving ourselves the best advantage trying to make the run as a team to nationals.
Now, as we speak about that, Coach, I mean, you've had so much success, right? You've had so much success and just kind of built on the success you had as an assistant, right? And you just try to keep putting those trophies up in the trophy case, right? And you had some heartbreak, these past couple of seasons. North Texas has been the top dog in the Women's Conference USA for golf, and you were right there. I mean, you were right there on the last day. What is it going to take to really kind of claim that throne back, especially this being kind of like the last season for Conference USA?
Yeah, I think, this year, if you look at the numbers, we've played Texas State, North Texas 3 times, and we're 11 strokes behind them. I mean, that's nothing. That's a stroke and a quarter each round. So our teams are still competitive. We just have a very young team. We have to learn things a little bit early. We have to keep that growth mindset and not really let our ego get in the way. I love competing against them because they're a team that shows up. Hopefully we have a little chip on our shoulders, especially for the returners, and we can get these freshmen to really start believing in themselves. I think we could easily hoist that trophy. Yeah.
Now, how do you replace? I mean, you had some staples of your program that you've built, your program on, your staple with the team. You lose Ana Gonzalez, you lose Hannah Holzman, and like Nicole. I was really looking at it, and you had I was reading the super seniors, right? You had Ana Gonzalez, a super senior, and they've really put their stamp on y'all's program. And how do you replace those leaderships, that experience? How do you do that?
I don't know if you could ever replace, those 3. They're really professional about what they do. They understood what it took in really big moments. So really it's our job as coaches, and Cameron's job, and Hunter's job, and Morgan's job as returners to really breathe in what we've been really good at. And that's being intentional about what we're doing, surrendering to the present moment on the golf course, and staying disciplined in our approach and how we attack the golf course. And just helping them and keeping each other in check as well, as if we're doing those things. So it's a team effort, those 3 and Katia as well being at home, those 4 are really irreplaceable. They'll forever be in my heart. I'll remember those fun years going through COVID, especially with them and all of the, battles and triumphs we've had. So now it's just about, kind of making sure the rest of our team knows who we are and how we do things.
If you could kind of just take us through, I know I had Cameron on the show, and you always have the Mary B. What is it? Help me out.
Mary B.S. Koth.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Mary B.S. Koth Invitational there at beautiful San Antonio Country Club. And I remember because I took my daughter there, and we were actually there to watch y'all. And I remember Cameron kind of telling us that y'all are coming off a victory, pre-COVID, and then next thing you know, y'all get the call that hey, season's over.
Yeah, it was when that happened. I think everybody in the world could relate to this. You're kind of just like, no, like this is maybe like 2 weeks kind of deal. And then, we kind of learned that this was probably a little bit longer. But those conversations were really hard at first because we didn't have a lot of answers. And we were just kind of getting into a groove, and we felt really good about it. So it's just one of those times where you look back and it seems a little surreal. But I think the girls handled it beautifully. We kept the communication going every day, just kind of trying to keep some kind of team aspect until we finished that year.
And I think that that's difficult, especially when you're dealing with. I know you were a big sports person, growing up with your dad playing in the NFL and you playing all these sports in high school. So you weren't just a golfer. And I think that at times uh, that's tough to be to have an individual sport like golf and to kind of keep that team aspect. And I think you kind of you have to rely on your leadership. And thank God, you do have some team leaders that can kind of keep the troops going.
Yeah, we did. Um, it was just, yeah, looking back on it, it was just a wild time. And to look back at it now and see where we are and how we've changed has been real. It has been a lot of fun.
And I think that goes a big testament to you. And I'm always asking Cameron. I said, well, what type of coach is Summer? And she's always like, well, you know what? I like to be left alone. Cameron's like, I like to be left alone at times. And well, I had a great picture of you over here. But of what are some of the things that you do as a coach when you do kind of instruct? Because I know as you go through your tournaments, it's a little bit different than what would be like, the professional tournaments. Y'all are able to kind of give advice constantly throughout, or what's the deal? Take us through like a scenario or something.
Well, we try to, and you're talking just on the golf course coaching, in a tournament. We try to kind of get an idea of what we want to do before we go into the day. So if we're playing just 18 holes, uh, Coach MJ and I, we kind of have a plan on who we want to see or what holes we want to capitalize on and what holes are really going to make a difference. And then from there, we really try to empower the players as much as possible. Make sure that if we can't get to them, they have all bases covered. But when it comes player to player, you really have to kind of understand that player because this is it's a different deal, right? You can't come in and coach everybody the same. Some people like to hear one thing, other people, others like to hear another. So you have to kind of approach everyone different. So when I see a player, I'm kind of switched on a little differently for that player. Somebody like Cameron, I can tell when Cameron needs space. But I can tell when Cameron wants space, but she needs kind of just a little push. So really understanding that dynamic. And then um really just trying to get them to think a little differently in certain situations. I think they can handle golf from tee to fairway to green, but when we're in a little sticky situations, it's really just giving them options and a perspective. We don't have any attachment to their personal score, so we can see things a little differently, whereas they may, see something that they want to see because they're trying to do something to, put them in a better position because of something that's happened or something ahead.
Now, what do you say is like your go-to? I like to think that I'm not an X's and O's guy. I'm a rah-rah guy. I'm a motivator.
Yeah.
Like what is like your go-to? Or are you more of like you can get somebody out of trouble? Are you a good reader of the greens? Like what is your kind of, you think like, hey, this is my specialty?
Oh, I'm a scrambler. I was a scrambler in college. I could get myself out of the stickiest situation. So that's probably my go-to. Me and Hunter Nugent, we can talk about probably, and she's kind of the same way. She gets herself in some sticky shots, but we can talk about how many times we felt like we robbed the golf course because we walked away with a par. So those are kind of some of my favorites. I can read greens. Pretty well, and then but I read better with some than others, so I may help. And then really just around the greens a little bit.
Now, I'm from Corpus, right? So, we got a lot of beach over there. So I like to think my best spot is to be in the sand, because I'm in there. I'm in there constantly, right? So
Yeah.
I love to hear that because I love to scramble, and everyone's like, "Why do you always have a good shot out of the trees?" And I'm like, "Because I'm always there. That's why."
Yeah, I can relate to that.
And now, Coach, it was so great to watch y'all's run. It was so great to watch y'all's run this year, and to be just like a mainstay in the NCAA regional fixture. How is that as a coach? Because normally, way back when you had to win your conference in order to get those bids, those automatic bids to the NCAA regional tournaments. How does it feel now to not? I mean, I'm not trying to say to be a loser or to not win your conference, but to know that y'all are continually making it and then the mainstay in the NCAA regionals.
Yeah, I like both. I like winning a conference and I like going to regionals. But there has been a lot of just overall sense of pride in what we've done because getting an automatic bid means we've played really good golf from August to May, April. We played great golf, enough to put us in a great position. So that's really fun. I mean, it's really fun to be consistent all year long. You know, continue to fight at the top of the leaderboard, have some rounds that are really low and, kind of keep us there. Um, and regionals is hard. I mean, it's the top 60 teams that are going, and getting to regionals is it's tough. So it's been a blessing to look back on the last 5 years I've been coaching this program, and we've gone every year to regionals. That's something that I'm very grateful for. It lets me know that we're doing the right things. However, I am ready for to move that needle or to take on other challenges, and I'm excited for that. I know that the success we've had doesn't come easy. But I know what it takes to get us there, and that's what I'm excited about. Is that what we're doing is good. So how do we continue to build on that?
And with speaking with the men's former coach continually, Coach K, he always talks about your schedule, and that's a big part of your job, is that making sure you are getting it's not, you don't want to peak too early, you don't want to peak, you don't want to peak in the middle. It's always about that timing and just making sure, and you've done a great job. And kind of take us through what you try to do with your schedule and trying to get your team ready for the right moment.
Yeah, great question. I think we're the only sport that puts together a schedule. So that's a little bit of stress added to our job. And it's really a politics game. It's going to depend on who your buddy's with, how well your team is playing, or what you've been able to do in the past. So for a team like us, we are, like a team that can beat a lot of great programs tournament to tournament. And then we consistently do well. So a lot of our play has helped us build our schedule. Now, a couple things I try to do, I try to put in a couple tournaments that I feel like we could win. I think winning is important in this game. You don't win very much, so any opportunity you can have to really play good golf and have a trophy is important. But I also think it's important to play some of the best and really maybe take the chance of getting beat, but learning a lot about it, because that's what you're going to see in regionals. Another thing I like to do is, to play all over the country. You take a kid like Cameron, who played majority of her junior golf in Texas. Well, we're going to go have Cameron play some golf in Kansas, in Tennessee, and Florida, and Virginia, and really get her experience, Oklahoma, wherever it is, West Coast, and get her experience because she wants to play professionally. So that's a big thing for us, learning how to play different golf courses, learning how to play different weather. That's big, but strength of schedule is the biggest. You always got to look for the best tournaments to play in, and then throw a couple that you feel like you could really win.
Now, I think also what that does for you too is that helps kind of like, what is it, your RPI, right, or like your strength of schedule, and I guess it helps your ranking too, right? Because I guess everybody kind of, there's like this this algorithm that goes into your ranking, because ultimately that's kind of like where you try to sit. I guess, what is it, that top 50 or top 40? I don't know. Tell us.
Yeah, top 50. So there's a head-to-head. So you want to play around the country as much as possible. And then, yeah, so if you're playing in a tournament where it's the top, let's say 30 teams, and you could get a win against all those 30 teams, and then they're going to go get a win against other, so it helps. We don't have a 500 rule. It's strictly on who you've beaten, how many strokes, and who they've beaten.
Dang, so that's always huge. So it's like, even if you're like, maybe like you're in the lead, hey, you can't really tell anybody to take their foot off the gas, right?
Yeah. You wanna try and get as many strokes as you can on another team. Yeah.
So, well, Coach, why don't you kind of take us through this past year's NCAA regionals? Y'all played in Tennessee, right? Y'all played at Vanderbilt, right? Did y'all play at the Vanderbilt?
We played in Nashville at Vanderbilt's course. Beautiful golf course. We actually were just like the month before, we were in Tennessee playing Chattanooga's course, and we won at Chattanooga. So, that's another kind of reason why we try and play as many as. So we felt really good going into regionals. We felt amazing about the course, the teams we were playing, our team. Obviously we lost conference by a shot, but it was really exciting to see within 2 days we had flipped the script and we were hungry for regionals. We put it behind us. We were working together. So going into that regionals, I knew we could have had our best showing, and we did. We finished top 6. I think the only teams that finished ahead of us were the 4 that went to nationals, and then Duke, who is coached by 2-time national championship coach. So we were right there. It was really exciting to kind of see the girls, come ready, not scared. There were no nerves. Knauer, the previous men's coach, gave me some great advice and on how to kind of a pregame kind of speech. And I gave it to them, and they were not nervous. It was amazing. So it was really fun from start to finish. And then to kind of see the last 9 holes, I text MJ. Cameron was on number, I want to say 14. And I text our assistant and I said, okay, if you're looking at the leaderboard, don't freak out. But Cameron's inside the top 2 individuals to go to nationals. I said, if you're going to talk about anything, talk about what she likes, right? So,
so you're coaching your coach, right? You got to coach your coach.
I'm coaching. I coach everybody. So Cameron sees me on like 15, and I start talking about makeup, and I don't wear makeup, like. And she even said, she was like, that was kind of weird. And I was just trying to put her in a good, like, make sure she didn't get out of the space she was. Not put her in a good space, but make sure she didn't leave that space. And on number 18, she's a lefty. So there's water. It's a long par 5, and there's water on the right. And she hits this, like, kind of a snap, and I hadn't seen it all week, and it clears the water and lands on the other side. Well, I was just over there looking for another competitor's ball, So I said, I texted MJ because they were on the back tee. I said, I think she's fine. I was like, but I'm going to go, you walk up with her and I'll go forward and I'll give her a landing spot to kind of chip out. I think she's going to have a swing. Sure enough, she did, thankfully. And we got her through on that hole with a par, and she was the top individual. It was amazing. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Really excited to just. It was a lot of fun to watch her team celebrate her. She works hard. She's one of the hardest workers. She hits balls in the middle of the night if she didn't like her practice that day. I mean, that's how hard she works. And she tinkers and she really knows her swing. Her putting was really coming together. I mean, she made a ton of putts, she has a great short game. So it was really fun to see her team celebrate her because they know how hard she works. They know that she's one of the hungriest on the team, and she did it with a lot of grace. I think the first thing she said was, "Yeah, I'm excited, but I wanted to go with y'all." And she almost kind of
Wow.
started tearing up.
Wow.
And it was a really fun day. I was really proud of all six of them. Morgan went with us just to watch as a freshman and kind of understand how regionals works. But just all six of them watching them celebrate each other and really having fun. So that picture is just us really, really enjoying each other.
And that's great to hear as a coach. Like, man, you're giving me chills, man. Like, as a coach, and I think that's the thing you always kind of preach, and especially me growing up, I was never like a star. I was always a bench player, and I love seeing my teammates do well. And as a coach, you always want your players to enjoy each other's success, because it's like their successes are kind of like your successes too, right? And so,
Yeah.
as a coach, I mean, gosh, that's badass. I'm over here like, as a coach, I said, man, I'm getting fired up, because I always tell the kids, I said, hey, if your teammate scores, you score. I said, if they win, we win. But if they lose, hey, we lose too. And so, man, as a coach, it's got to be a great feeling to push a player through to that next level, because especially like you stated, I don't think anybody is an individualistic sport as golf is that a lot of times, yeah, you're going to have your practices, but it's what you do outside of those practices that kind of gets you to that next level.
Yeah. And I mean, she puts in a lot of work. She goes above and beyond. Sometimes, I have to kind of go like, "Hey, I think you need a break." Because there's a point where she'll just, cause a lot of stress and anxiety. It's like, I think you need to stop working. Yeah, you need to go like take a nap or go do school or something. You gotta leave.
Well, and I know as a coach, I mean, yeah, you always say it's like you want people to be like gym rats, right? You want them to be gym rats, and you want them to continually stay hungry. But I'm sure, as you've seen, as being a D1 athlete and being from a family of athletes, I'm sure you've seen that shift to where mental wellness and mental health is like a huge part now of not just the physical part.
Yeah, I mean, I think the mental health for student athletes have always been there. If I think back on my college, it was pretty stressful. Nobody kind of prepares you like back then that it's like a full-time job. Um, and now today, it's I'm very thankful that we can kind of talk about it. We can have open conversations about it because I always didn't feel like that as a player. So, what we try to do, Coach MJ and I, is we're checking in. We're checking in all the time. How's this going? How's that going? And how much time are you spending on self-care? Like that's a common question. Like, what are you doing for yourself? Whether if it's, our team, they get their nails done. Well, you need to go get your nails done. You need some me time. Yeah. So just making sure that they're giving themselves a little me time, because we don't want to continue to build stress, and especially in this game, and you're coming to practice and you're not really there. You're traveling and you're not really there because you have all this anxiety. So, our job as coaches is to make sure we're helping you balance it all. So it's cool. We're not always focused on the X and O's anymore. We're kind of focused on, how are you doing and how can we make sure we're bettering the system.
And I think that's tough because you have to wear so many hats as not only a coach. You're like you're a manager, you're a mom, you're a friend, and then you have to be that disciplinarian too, and you have to wear so many hats. And I'm sure I do it on a middle school level, but you're on a D1, top level team that is a mainstay in the in the female golfing community. So it's like, I mean, how do you deal with all of those things and still, kind of like live your life? Like, how much golf are you playing? I mean, as a
Oh, I don't play golf.
there you see, there you go. That's what I'm saying. Everyone's like, oh, I'm jealous. I'm jealous of Summer. Man, they get to go to all these. She gets to play at all these places, and I'm like, hold on, I want to know. I was like, how much
Not
golf are you
me.
playing?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the fun part about my job is wearing all those different hats. I'm not a person that could go do one task for 8 hours and then like I like to be different places. So going to the golf course, going to the office, I'm two different people there. And I really enjoy that part. And then traveling, I'm kind of a different vibe as well. But yeah, we don't play golf. We work out. That's how I handle my stress. I meditate a lot. I got my own healthcare, self-care thing I do. And I make sure I do mine so I can help them do theirs.
That's true. It's like, look, you have to
Yeah.
take care of yourself before you can take care of others, right?
Oh yeah. You got to put on your oxygen mask first before they tell you put on the others. Yep, that's what they tell
That's
you.
true. That's true. That is
Mhm.
true. Now, why don't you kind of take us through, because sometimes a lot of us we are not in the know of how recruiting goes, and I know
Mhm.
Coach K, the former UTSA coach, he kind of took me through what as coaches you have to do. It's like you kind of look ahead where, okay, you have some eligibility, or you're going to lose a scholarship here, you're going to lose a player here, so you're kind of like recruiting for 23, you're recruiting for 24. Is that how it goes when y'all do your recruiting?
Yeah, I think, you got these kids for 4 years. So you're always thinking, okay, when Cameron and Hunter graduate, what kind of kids do I want to come in? They obviously have to hit our values, but then you start thinking about personality and you want the best game as possible. So then you're trying to, okay, if I can get that great game, but maybe the kid's a little bit high maintenance, I'll need some, maybe low maintenance kid and kind of balance it out. And then yeah, you got to look it's a constant, it's like always searching. It's like searching in a gold mine. You're always looking different countries, different tournaments. Sure, you're following 5, maybe 10 kids for one spot, but you're always looking at leaderboards. Oh, well, what did that kid shoot? Okay, how's that kid trending? And then you can kind of go down some rabbit holes and find you some more. So it's just a constant search. Um, it's a lot of communication to make sure that kid is going to fit well in your program with your style of coaching, your philosophy, and with your team. So yeah, you're looking ahead, and you're also kind of. I think you're always looking ahead, though. I think as a coach, you're always thinking, okay, next 5 years, and then kind of keeping it that way. Yeah.
Has the transfer portal hurt or helped you in this regards?
Yeah, we got Nicole Polovchek, who was a big senior for us last year, the last couple of years, that graduated with that class out of the portal, and she was awesome. She was a kid that came to the lineup right away, gave us results, worked hard. We've had Hunter was a portal kid, so we've had some success, and we've also missed. It's kind of one of those mishits. I like it because it's out there. You know, back before the portal, you didn't know who was transferring. You really had to be in the politics of it all. You had to know before they even started the transfer process, and get contact with coaches. Now, once a kid hits that portal, boom, it's an email. And then either you got a shot or you don't. It's mainly comes down to money. And the kid already knows, has been in the system. They already know what it's like. So you can't really sugarcoat things. Like, they know exactly, if they've been paying attention, they know exactly who you are, what your program's like, and where and how you compete. So I enjoy it because I think we have a little bit more exposure. Once kids get into college golf, they're like, oh yeah, UTSA's, they're good, or they're playing a great schedule. I love it.
Now, and that's a good thing too. Is that you're in the limelight, you're in the NCAA regionals, you have a great traveling schedule. And one thing I was thinking about, I'm sure you like to do it for your travel schedule as well, is to make sure that your kids see that type of grass, those type of greens. Is that one thing that you kind of do to get them exposed to not just playing on the same types of grasses continually?
Yeah, I mean, we may not always be able to find that grass in San Antonio, but we can at least practice those shots and then prepare to get ready for those conditions. So when we do a practice round, we're only thinking about conditions, and getting, used to the grass or the speed or the different lines, whether you're playing, tree line or desert, getting used to that, to the visual. Yeah, we do as much preparation as we can at home right before the tournament. So when we get to the golf course, it's a lot of condition testing, whether it's firm or soft. We're figuring out, okay, where are our landing spots? Are we using our bounce around the greens? Can we look at bump and runs? Are, pitch shots better? Looking at those types of things.
Did you have one course that maybe stood out the most to you that I'm not gonna say, because as a coach you can't really say you have a favorite, right? Like, you can't say that you have favorite courses, but was there one course, I guess, and maybe not the whole tournament, like hosting and everything that kind of went along with it, one course that was maybe stood out to you as that you favored more than maybe any of your others that you had scheduled last year?
Yeah, last year in our regular scheduling, um, I think PGA National, where we play conference, it's an amazing golf course. The greens were firm, so it was a little brutal, because the wind blows. It's like it's 25 and the greens are just like a rock. So I think, getting to play that again in April, I'm looking forward to it because the layout is amazing. It's championship. There's, shots where you have to hit over water. There's no escape. You have to be able to hit this shot and be able to, do it under pressure. I love golf courses like that. That's probably my favorite in regular season. When Cameron and I stepped on the golf course at Greyhawk, I already knew that was my favorite course I would ever coach on. I was like, this is pure. And that was probably the most fun I've had. I know it's probably because of the whole atmosphere, but the golf course is just, it's challenging. I mean, you really have to know where your bailouts are, and then even if you bail out there, you have to have an impeccable short game. Um, so that was by far the best course I've ever coached on, and I,
Now,
and I can't wait to return.
now, how was that? Now, how was that making that trip to the NCAA championships, knowing you have an individual golfer there, like, and being there to support her and to make this trip? And you just said it. You just said it was your favorite golf course. I mean, you're there in Arizona, Scottsdale. You can't complain about the weather there. And man, how was that whole experience?
Oh, I think, yeah, it's like going to Disneyland. The moment you get in your car and you're headed for the airport, it's like it's the best. But being when we did a walkthrough the first day, you do a walkthrough and you're not allowed to step on the greens. You can get so close to them, but you're really just walking the golf course, trying to get out a little plotting plan. And um walking down the first fairway and you see a tower, I was like, oh, me and Cameron just looked at each other and we're like, oh, it's on. Um, And really it was really fun. It's like the simple things for me because I am such a roadrunner at heart. It's like seeing the flag at seeing the UTSA flag on site was it for me. I was like, that's it. Like we did that. So that was really cool. And then not only coaching, desert golf's different. The morning is nice and calm. It's a little soft, and then you play in the afternoon and it's windy and it's firm and it's completely different golf course. That was really fun, is to be able to kind of play the course two different ways, know when to attack. And then the other piece I thought was, probably you can ask Cameron later, but my favorite is every time you get done, you get a milkshake. Yeah. So so I think the second round, Cameron was pretty disappointed. She just kind of maybe got ahead of herself, and got in a feeling. So like we crushed two milkshakes, and then we did like, an hour and a half of work, and it was over. Like that milkshake is just like an automatic band-aid. It's beautiful.
It's like what did you do to comfort? What did you do to help comfort your player? Hey, we had some milkshakes. Damn, that's great
Yeah.
coaching. That's great coaching.
We had some milkshakes. We sat and watched the rest of, and we just talked about what we learned that day. And it's just moments like that. Being on the golf course is fun, but for a coach, you're more of a spectator. I mean, you get to, give your little piece of advice, motivate when you can, but you're just letting that kid go. It's a horse. You got to let the ponies run. So afterwards, going through it all and talking about our approach the morning before or after, those are my favorite moments, because now we're learning. Now we're understanding what's happened, and we're building towards something else.
That's beautiful though. That has to be such a beautiful feeling as a coach to kind of see, like you stated, you're a road runner, and so that immense sense of pride, and that's different, man. That's got to
Oh,
that's got to be different. There has to be like no other feeling like it.
no other fit. If you would have told me, when I came to UTSA in 2007, that I would be at a national championship with a Roadrunner on my chest as the head coach, there's no way I would have believed you.
But the good thing is that I'm sure you're hungry because you want some more of that, right?
Oh yeah, I want the whole team. I want the whole team. I want my support staff. I want parents. I want it all. I want us all to be there. Whether it's Greyhawk this year or in California the next 3 years, that's where we want. We want to bring all the Roadrunners. They got to taste the two of us. I want 20 of us there.
And that's beautiful. That's beautiful, Coach. One of the last things, and I have to ask about it. I know you're an NCAA Division I female coach. Where do you think the treatment of female collegiate sports is kind of going? Because again, I'm a coach. I have two daughters. I coach women. I coach females, and so I try my best to I really try to empower these young women, these young ladies that I coach. And it's tough when you see NCAA basketball tournaments that were played in Las Vegas. A female, basketball player got hurt. It took them 45 minutes to get the EMS in because of tournament conditions. There was no stands. There was no bleachers. The NCAA regionals that happened in 2001 in Baton Rouge, a regional had to be canceled. Where do you think like the treatment of female collegiate sports is kind of going?
Well, I think right now, the best thing that's happening is exposure. These things, this kind of treatment, I think, has always been there, but now we have exposure to where the population and the fans are starting to understand some of the things that we had to go through just to be able to compete at a high level, and we're not even near any of the men's sports. So having the population and the viewers see that, I think, is very impactful. It's going to grow our game. I mean, it's the only way to grow our game is to show people where we are. in what we need and what we should have and demand it. But going forward, I mean, there's a lot of investment in women's sports now because of all of the exposure. So I think, sky's the limit. And I think it's going to take us a little bit longer unless we keep on pushing for the things we want. But I think we're closer to equality than we have ever been. We just need to keep pushing.
And I love to hear that. I love to hear that as a father of two daughters, as a coach, for female athletics. I love to hear it. And being raised by a single mother, like I'm like, damn. I was like, my mother was way stronger than so many men that I've seen in my life. So I'm like, there's no reason why there's a need to stop. And I love that exposure is you're right, is getting those issues out and making people aware and forcing them to act on those.
Forcing them to act. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Coach, man, as we wrap this year up, what are some of the things that you have as goals for going in? Because once this new year starts, this is like your time. This is your time. It's about to be y'all's season, your money time. What are some of the goals as you go into the new year that you have for you and your team?
Yeah. Well, I think the number one goal is to win conference. We want to win the last Conference USA championship. That's what we're gonna approach every day as our task. Our intention is we're here to build so we can put ourselves in a position to really, really compete and win that championship title. I would love to win a regular tournament. We're going back to Chattanooga. I'd love to go back to back. I think our team can handle that. And these girls are so great in the classroom. They just graduated with a 3.56 as a team. So I'd love to keep that going. But yeah, I mean, really, those are our goals that, we're going to make sure our effort matches what we want to accomplish. But really, as far as the coaching and our team, our goal is kind of a everyday, like, are we where our feet are? Are you here now? Are you present? Can we get the work in? And how many of those days can we stack together? How many of those days can you show up and be the absolute best person you can be? A great teammate, great player. Can you push others? Can you push your coaching staff to be better? So just making sure that we're demanding the best out of each other every day is really our big goals.
Damn, Coach, I'm going to get on a UTSA polo and I'm ready. I'm ready to go play for you. Shoot, man. I'm like, you got me pumped up. I have a round here in about an hour. And I'm like, man, I'm going to try to be the best version of myself. And I'm like, man,
every day, baby, stack it. How many days can you stack? That's all we're trying to do. It's all we're trying to do.
Coach, well, thank you so much, man. It was an awesome catching up with you. I think you're the best guest to wrap up this 2022 year. Thank you so much for being on the show. You're freaking awesome, man. I root for y'all so hard. I'm so hoping to see y'all's name there. And I'm always looking and rooting for y'all. And I wish you nothing but the best this upcoming season. Thank you so much for helping close out my NothingisOB Golf Podcast 2022 year.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Such an honor to help you close it out. I'm looking forward to a great year.
All right, Coach. Hey, have a good, happy new year. And thank you so much for being on the show, Coach.
Thank you, Andy. Birds up.
Birds up, baby. Man, Coach was awesome. She's going to have me, I'll run through a wall for her right now. And so I can see why her players play for her. She's a player's coach. And I wish nothing but the best for my women's UTSA Roadrunners team in their upcoming season. Hey, have a great thank y'all so much for all your support for the 2022 year, and I look for nothing but blessings and for a great 2023. NothingisOB,